What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more punk rock, and we're going back to Strung Out's Suburban Teenage Wasteland Blues, 1996, and the next tune is called Gearbox. It makes me think it might be about, something fast and very kinetic, explosive, indeed internally combustive, perhaps. So whether we're talking motorcycles or cars, it makes me think about energy, so I don't know, perhaps the Sonics will be reflective of that type of attitude. Now granted, gearbox could be a metaphor or some sort of figurative analogy for the way someone feels like they're being shoved into different positions by others. I feel like you could take it some different ways figuratively. But my first thought when I saw that was like, okay, maybe we're talking actual engines and transmissions, and if that's the case, again, motorcycles, cars, you name it. But yeah, I wonder what other layers there will be, even if that is the case. And again, it might be running in a different direction. So let's find out. This is Strung Out. The tune is Gearbox, and it's from the 1996 album Suburban Teenage Wasteland Blues. Not catching all the lyrics, but man. Utterly crazy. Maybe my favorite one I've heard so far. Certainly on this album. I mean, that's just incredible. Now, I have to catch up to all the ideas in his head. What was it like? All the thoughts, all the ideas. Like, you have to try to understand all the thoughts and ideas in my head. And there was lines about this other person is putting him down. So it seems like the narrator feels like they're not being respected or treated as decently or as fully as they should be by this other person, but I'm not quite sure the dynamic. Again, maybe Gearbox as an analogy does factor in somewhat along the lines I was thinking, but I didn't hear enough to like make that specific connection. But sonically, I mean, it's everything that I've come to expect, like super fast tempos and like roaring guitar chords, like quick tempo shifts, the like brief dead pauses and then come back in. But it was like that and then some a little bit extra, it felt like, in this one. And it went longer than I thought. It had that great like transition to a slightly slower tempo but with like heavy chords, and then it went back to the super fast tempo again. Just a really cool like masterpiece of a punk tune. So yeah, that was one of my favorites from them so far. Still got to figure out exactly, you know, who he's addressing in the track, and you know, how Gearbox might factor in. But that was a really cool one. So yeah, really enjoying this album so far, and it's interesting, like, as I build this new understanding of this group, I'm like really getting excited to go back to Twisted by Design, which is an album I knew to some extent back in the day, but it'll be really interesting to go back to it now with more understanding of who they were by the point they released it. And also, as I think I've mentioned, I've made a point not to listen to any tunes from that since I reacted to, I think, Too Close to See is the only one that I've heard in the last few years, just because that was the first Strung Out reaction I did. But yeah, once again, shout out to Paulie for sending this. I'm just infinitely grateful that I get to explore the catalog of this group, and that, again, Paulie allowed us to do that. So yeah, bottom line, big shout out to you, big shout out to Strung Out. Do let me know what you think of the song. I'll see you next time. Peace.